Wow. Um, that was a lot. Okay, so guys, this is the officially unofficial geek channel, and this is Collected Edition Tuesdays, and I gotta tell you, I did it. I did it. I finished it. And I don't know. Okay, guys, so here's the deal. This is the officially unofficial geek channel. I'm your host, as always, Carrie Quinn, and this is Collected Edition Tuesdays. And like I just said, I finally finished Metal Dark Knight's Metal. Crap. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this one, and it's pretty crazy, and it is very epic, and convoluted. Is would you consider convoluted a negative word or positive word, or just kind of just in general an adjective, neither good nor bad? Okay, how about for our purposes? Convoluted, specifically for our purposes, convoluted is neither good nor bad. Because I frankly just finished it and I have not quite figured out how I feel about it yet. Which is strange for me because there's times where most of the time I know pretty much how I feel about something like right after I've read it. There's been things that I've read recently that have comic book wise kind of altered that viewpoint a little bit. One of them recently was in the midst of reading Tom King's current book, Human Target, the current series, going on art by Greg Smallwood. It's a freaking fantastic series, and but I'm not here to talk about that one. You can watch past weekly comic book videos to find out how I feel about that one. Um, but okay, so if we're gonna go with convoluted not being negative nor positive, just being an adjective to describe something, um, yes, convoluted, convoluted, complex, complex probably means the same as convoluted, um, but probably sounds a little less negative, to most people. But the thing is okay, so this is one of those DC epic stories where you need to have multiple books to get the whole thing. Um, and even so, we had Road to Metal, which I read like months ago and just got into metal for these purposes. Road to Metal, you have the Dark Knights book, which is basically all the Dark Knights stories. Um, and uh, Dark Dark Knights Metal, The Resistance, and Dark Knights Metal main title. So for the purposes of this show, I read the Resistance book and the Metal book, and basically it was like my if you're looking to get into reading metal, first off, um, and you don't want to be spoiled on anything, one, um, we're gonna talk some spoilers here in a moment. Two, go online and research the reading order of the entire thing. Have that at the ready, even if it's just you. Like, I personally had it on my cell phone. It was a window that was open and available for me to look at, and I kept it open on my phone so that I could just go in and be like, okay, what's next? What's next? You know? And when I finished the book, I would go to what's next. To the point until I ran out of things that I was supposed to be reading in one book and just focusing on the other. Because you do reach a point with the Resistance book where you're done with it. You can just put it aside and be done with it. There's one overlap in Resistance and Metal. This being Resistance, this being Metal. And that is, let's see here. They both have Batman Lost, the Batman Lost issue, which was interesting. Um, but that is the only overlap that they do have. Can you read this? Yeah, well, hold on. Let's back up for a minute. Okay, so can you read this without getting all the books? If you get this, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Um, but here's a but here. If you get this, you'll be okay. You're gonna get the gist of the story. If you get the main Metal book, um, but there are elements to the story that kind of help you feel out a little bit more. Um, and when you get to the certain point, like near the end, where characters from the Resistance are popping up and saying things, you know how they got there and how they got to the point where they're saying what they're saying. Um, but yeah, can you read it with just getting the one book? This is paperback, and it is $20. Um, retail price, suggested retail price on the back here, $20. Yeah, um, you can get the gist of the story just from that. Um, if you can if you can swing at least getting Road to Metal, because that's going to have the forge and casting issues, plus kind of a treasury anthology of moments that are curated by the author, by Scott Snyder and the other authors, to kind of build up, show you where we've been kind of working towards this, these moments. Go for it. Another recommendation I would also make, that if you're in the market and you really just have $20 to spend and you want one of the books, then get Metal. But here's the thing, then spring for the $8 to have access to DC Universe Infinite. Okay? Because all the issues are on there. I did use the app to kind of just read wherever I could. So, like, if I didn't want to have the book someplace, but I could have my phone, I was, basically reading on my phone a lot of it. So, like, if I was out and about someplace and kind of just waiting on something, like in the car or something like that, or what have you, I could just pull out my phone and start reading, which was convenient. Um, if you are not looking to spend basically the equivalent of $30 to $40 to get all of these, because like I said, there's a whole entire collection of the Dark Knight's stories, um, like the Batman Who Laughs, the Devastator, and all the Merciless, the Drowned, all those. Um, if you don't want to spend $30 to $40 getting the story, but you still want to read Metal, one, you can read it with just this, but I also recommend getting the app and reading the rest of it as well. Um, okay, so from this point on, I have now told you how I recommend that you read it. from this point on, if you've never read it and you don't want spoilers, you're gonna want to put a pin in this video, come back to it later, stop, and come back to it later. Stopping now. One thing that Batman writers and DC Justice League writers and everything like that have been doing a lot of lately is focusing on the theme of hope, hope lost, hope regained. Um, yeah. So, and it's also a theme that you see highlighted in the most recent Batman movie. Hope lost, hope regained. Or hope never had and then hope realized, or that kind of thing. Okay, so basically what we're running into here is there's a metal, and actually it's the idea of metal, and not only in substance but also in description. They do make a mention and kind of work it in there about the idea of metal not only being a substance but also the music metal. Now, did they really hammer that home? No, they didn't. um I was expecting a little bit more overt musical reference um than what I got. That doesn't mean that it was bad. um One of the things that you're noticing, might be noticing is happening lately is the idea of comic books coming out that have kind of a either obvious or perceived soundtrack. You have Radio Apocalypse by Rom V. You have gosh God, I forget the name of the other one that's out right now. I haven't been reading it, but The Furthest Place from Here, I think is what it's called. um but they're operating with the idea of it being kind of, there's an overlaying soundtrack to everything. That's kind of what I expected going into this, but we did not get that. By the time that we actually ended up talking about music at all, um at least to the point where it was really noticeable and it like stuck, it was out there, was when you get to the point where the major dark being Barbados Barbados, we'll call it Barbados, um shows up, and the Batman Who Laughs asks him to sing. Okay, so we just mentioned Batman Who Laughs. Well, okay, here's the deal. So Batman is getting the idea, and he's seeing all these things that are coming. He's got this feeling that something's coming, and he's doing all these preparations. And the thing is about Batman's preparations is he's doing it in typical Batman style. He's not asking for help. um he's doing it on his own. The little bit of help that he is asking for, he's doing it in a way that is very much, well, I'm asking for help, and I'm not going to tell you specifically why I'm asking you for help. I'm just expecting you to just kind of help me. Typical Batman stuff. All right. So, Batman is asking for help, and he gets help from the Bat family to kind of detour everyone, because for some reason he is very, very out of sorts. Out of sorts meaning he is, one would have to say he's scared. He's scared. I would say, yeah. I think it's kind of alluded to and or described um, in the story as Batman being scared. So we'll go there. We'll use that. We'll use that terminology. Batman is scared, which it's Batman. It's kind of weird because as a man that uses fear as a tool is now having fear used as a tool on him. Um, and that's kind of what's going on there, and he's not really wanting and asking for help from anyone. And especially the his friends in the Justice League. And they start catching on. Something's up, something's wrong, and they of course realize, oh well, that's Batman, he's doing, his Batman thing. So you get uh you get a moment where Batman just kind of goes missing, and then Wonder Woman and Superman and major members of the Justice League go looking for him. And then this mountain rises out of Gotham. Just like just and the Batman Who Laughs, who is basically the leader of the Dark Knights, um is basically has given a different, it's like Dante's Inferno, where you have different levels of hell, um except in the Gotham, mountain, you have different levels of villainy. So you have the level of villainy that is um handled by the Riddler. You have the level of villainy handled by Mr. Freeze. You have the level of villainy handled by Poison Ivy, and so on and so forth. Um, which one of the things that I did not like, one of the things I did not like was a lot of that stuff. There are unanswered and things that don't make sense to me, and if they make sense to you because you have more experience with the DC comics, with the Batman comics, then let me know. But the whole so when all these things start happening, there's a wound that's across Nightwing's forehead that is supposed, just shows back up, just kind of reopens, and it has to do with everything going on. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't seem like that really gets resolved. So that's one issue. You have Damian Robin, um, leading the Teen Titans and doing his thing, where he's leading the Teen Titans in, and they end up meeting up with the Suicide Squad. So basically, it's Croc and Harley, um, and things are happening there. So lots of little things happen in the Resistance, where the Resistance really basically deals with the mountain that came out of Gotham and the different levels of, Dante's Inferno kind of levels. And all of that is in of itself like complex and could be its own separate thing, because in the end it's not really all that, like they mentioned that the mountain left was gone in the end, but it's not, the story really doesn't, that part of the story really doesn't get a lot of resolution. I think maybe because the main attraction of the story is not the Resistance, but the actual main metal issues. And which is a shame, because there's some good interesting stuff in there, um involving the relationship between Robin and Nightwing. Um, and the relationship between um, the heroes having to work with the Suicide Squad and everything like that, and working with Harley Quinn. And you have this moment where, like, if I remember correctly, like, you have this moment where I have notes. I have like these like those, yeah, just pieces of paper. Let me find it, because I got to the moment where I was starting, like, if I was actually looking at the actual books, that I was doing like little notes. So there's at a certain point where the arrows, when they realize that the arrows made out of ninth metal are going to be something that could harm the Dark Knights. So you get that moment, right? You get them, working together, the Suicide Squad, Teen Titans, and um, Nightwing and Green Arrow. Yeah, you get them all like fighting together and stuff. So there you go. That's kind of cool. Um, God, where is that moment? Like, yeah, Enchantress is here, and like you're just like, I don't even know what happens to her. Um, Harley gets taken prisoner by Poison Ivy, and she basically she acts like she doesn't even know Harley. Like, I don't know what's really up with that. Um, the darkness turns a bunch of the members of the Suicide Squad and the Teen Titans, and that's kind of wild. Um, okay, so there's this moment in the Resistance book where let's see here. They're trying to get away, but it's kind of hard because they're getting hit with everything. Um, and Croc decides to sacrifice himself. That's one of the things that I was like really into. Like, when I saw that, that was actually a point of like, oh wow, like that's really sad and crazy, and all that. Um, that was a good moment, and then you get more information about how all that went down, with the different, mountain, and the cards that were given out, and all that. And when I say this thing is complex, I really mean it. And I'm still not sure exactly how I feel. Okay, so like I'm gonna stop talking about the Resistance now, because I sat there and I told you you don't necessarily have to get the Resistance. Um, the moments involving Damien and um, Nightwing, where Nightwing is kind of all like, you know, not really he's kind of lost faith that Batman's gonna return, and Damien's like, you know, you fucker, my father always comes back. We had to go help my father. And it's just like, it's this moment where, Damien never gives up on Bruce, and never gives up on his father. And then that gets kind of like a whole juxtaposition with a moment in the main title book, where the thing that, like, Clark is trying to get Bruce to move forward and keep going, and because when Superman finds Bruce, he's trying to get him to keep going, to move forward and everything like that. And um the thing that gives Bruce the most hope is he thinks of Damien, and he says Damien's name, and it's like, that's really like, that was a moment for me. that I did really think was really great was that whole like the hope of the future kind of idea, and how Damien never lost hope that they would eventually find um Batman, his father, and that the thing that gave Batman that boost was talking about a Damien. Yeah, was thinking about Damien. Um and the rest of his kids. Um which I'm assuming was, they didn't come out and say it, but I was thinking that it was probably having to do with the rest of the Robins and that kind of thing, and getting back to them and doing everything for them. But so you have like this whole thing where like they're trying to get to the forge, um because they have to get element X. And element X is, you end up finding out, is this type of metal that is stronger than ninth metal, like ninth metal. And that ninth metal can is really hard to defeat because most of the metal that they have access to in their weapons is eighth metal, and ninth metal is only in the weapons of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. And um, then also 10th metal, which is element X. So element X, which is kind of interesting, like element 10, element X. So it's also referred to as 10th metal. And 10th metal can defeat ninth metal. So yeah, it's not just a clever name. But then you got the whole circumstance involving Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and how she has to kind of, snap him out of his whole thing where he's a dragon of the darkness. Guys, this is a lot. This is a lot. This might be too much for me. I like complex stuff. Um, but if I was going to get anything out of this, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough because there is so much. And the thing is like, if you've ever wondered like the utmost talent involving writing plus the utmost talent involving art, like pairing together to make this epic dynasty event, and your mind is just going like, ugh, the whole time, because you think you're a pretty smart cookie, and you maybe are, and you probably are, right? Because I like to think I'm kind of a smart cookie, right? Looking at this, and you're just like, ugh. That's your brain. That's your brain on Dark Knight's Metal. Is ugh. That's your brain. That's your brain on Dark Knight's Metal. Especially when you're just sitting there like trying to figure it out. Seriously. It's hard. It's hard. Okay, so here's the thing. Um if I were to talk about an overarching theme, it would be kind of similar to my retrospect involving Fear State, even though, Fear State failed on so many levels. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, it was just didn't work for me. But the theme I would have to go with is that whole idea, like kind of like the in brightest day and darkest night, like hope and shit like that. And then I actually, um, okay, so spoiler alert. I already told you there's spoilers, but spoiler alert, they win! Yay! Okay. Um, and Bruce invites everyone over. Well, everyone that can know that Bruce is Batman is there. Okay. So when you look at the party, there's no Killer Croc, there's no Harley Quinn, they can't know that Bruce is Batman, so oh well. They don't get to party. Hopefully they're doing their own fun thing wherever they are. Um, but he hosts a party for Justice League and Justice League adjacent people, um, where he says, looking at you all now, I wanted to say I'm so damn proud to be among you. I followed a mystery to the worst place I've ever been. All I could see were endings, and the truth is, I didn't want to look any further, but you all pulled me out. So I brought you here to say thank you. It's about finding hope and allowing people to help you, Batman. Jeez. Tell people when you're going through shit, okay? Tell people, talk to people when you're going through shit. This isn't just about, a comic book here, but if you're going through something, talk about it. If you're going through hell, keep going. It's eventually you're going to find the end of it, and if you need help, look for it. It's there. Um Try not to lose hope. And I think that might be the point of everything here, everything that I read in this story. And I think that there's a place for that. There's a place for anyone that wants to promote the idea of having hope. Um, when you look around, over the last couple years, it's kind of hard. When you look at what's happening in Europe right now, hope is hard to have when you're hearing about people dying all the time. When you're hearing about 600,000 plus deaths from COVID-19. When the Russians are bombing Ukraine, and it seems hopeless. When gas prices are skyrocketing because of all of that, and maybe you have to get to work, or you have to put food on the table, and the inflation is out of control, and your milk, all of a sudden, your milk half gallon all of a sudden costs like close to $5, and it's really hard to have hope. So I think anything out there that wants to remind you that, shit can get bad, but, to try and have hope, it's probably a good thing. So I guess Dark Knight's Metal is a good thing for that reason. Um, I do see it as kind of like one of these things where it's a trifecta, like a trilogy. I was kind of looking to try and do um, to read and review and do an overview like I'm doing right now of metal, and then death metal at least, prior to this summer, which is going to be the Dark Crisis, which I think is going to be like, if there's a trifecta, if there's a trilogy involving this whole situation, it's going to be metal, death metal, and then Dark Crisis. So I'm gonna keep on that path. I am interested to see if reading death metal kind of brings this a little bit more in perspective, um, and to see how it changes my viewpoint of it. I'm definitely on that still. I'm gonna read it. So, not only, well, yeah, mostly to just kind of prepare myself for this summer, because I do plan on reading it, you know. Whether whether it seems whether it seems, prudent or not, I am probably going to read Dark Crisis. Come on, guys. Who are we talking about here? Um but I think I need to read something else. A little bit of a palate cleanser. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. Um So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this absolutely confusing overview of Dark Knight's Metal and say, hey, one, if you're looking for something that is really dark and gothic but has a upturn, pick it up. If you're looking for something to kind of remind you about there being hope in the world, um, it takes a while, but it gets there. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess I can say it's not horrible, but I am not, about ready to shoot off fireworks about it. Which is surprising to me. I actually thought I was really going to be like over the moon about it. And maybe I'll change my mind after reading death metal. Maybe I will not. But yeah, that's it. So, stuff coming up, just a little bit of housekeeping here, real quick. Tomorrow we do have what's happening Wednesdays, and being completely honest with you, still working out exactly what the topic's gonna be, but we'll be here. We'll do our thing. You'll be here. We'll do our thing. It'll be great. It'll be fun. Friday, Flashback Friday. Still working out exactly what I'm going to do for that one. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a live show. So if you're available Friday evening, I will update everyone via social media. And that kind of thing as to what time I will be on. So if you're not following me on social media, you should be. If you're on Twitter, you can find me at Carrie Quinn, or excuse me, at Carrie Q Author. On Instagram, it's the officially unofficial geek. Um, yeah, that's probably the two best closest to. I mean, we have a Facebook page, yes, and I'm on there too. But it's the OU Geek page. Because Facebook has this problem about me calling something officially unofficial. They won't let me do it. I know who I am. Whatever, I do what I want. Facebook freaks. Damn. Anyways, so yeah. You know how we avoid you not knowing that I'm going live on Friday and when is you hit that notification button. So that notification button's going to tell you when I go live or when I post any kind of video, any kind of musings that I have going on here. Um, yeah, that's how you know about everything. And so that's it for me for Collected Edition Tuesdays. Sorry it took me so long to read this, and sorry it's so complex and I don't know quite what to talk about. But yeah, I guess that's metal for you. Anyways, this has been the officially unofficial geek channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you thought of Dark Knight's Metal. Tell me if you think, yes, Carrie, that is definitely one of the most complex stories I've read in a long time. Let me know. And until next time, I'll be seeing ya. Bye.